Okay, so we're going to go move on to step 4 here. So that's 3, and we're going to move over here to step 4. So step 4 is going to be the installation of our front camber links and our front steering links. So this is where I said earlier in the video that it was imperative to do a left and a right so that they corresponded to how they were supposed to go in there, and the front. Now what I like to do again is I like to have this link always facing the same side of the car so that when you go to adjust your turnbuckles, to the front is tightened and to the rear is loosened. And those are little sometimes tough to pop on there. Like I said, sometimes these can be a little tight to snap on, which is fine. You can use a pair of pliers. Again, just be careful if you do use pliers that you don't scar the plastic, or you pinch too hard and break the plastic. Okay, so there's our front steering links. Those are all on. So let's move to the bag E3, which is going to be the front shock tower and the front wing. So it looks like first step here is we are looking for the front and the rear of the shock tower, which this would be the front side, this would be the back side, because it does have a keyway to where it fits onto the front shock tower itself. So we are going to, per manual, put them in the middle. And we can use our supplied wrench with the 5.5 and then a MIP 7.0. Doesn't have to be an MIP, you can use whatever brand you have. MIP I prefer. They're guaranteed for life from normal wear and tear. Okay, so that's all on there. So we're going to go down here to attach the front shock tower. We're going to use our 3x10mm screws. And again, we'll tighten all those by hand so we do not overstress the plastic threads. page 24, step 8, E8. We're going to attach the bottom nose plate. There is a keyway that it slips into with our supplied 3x20 screws. Okay, there's that. Now we're going to put on our front sway bars. So we have our sway bar links, our sway bar. Okay. So one thing that I typically see overlooked quite a bit is when people assemble their sway bar. It is actually important that this sway bar, when you attach the sway bar, that this screw where it screws in is facing up and not down or to the back or to the side. It allows the sway bar, if it's on the top, to work properly. It's not putting any extra stress or strain on there. So it is kind of important, per the picture, that this screw ends up on the top. That's just going to be our little 3.5 grub screw here. And again, we're going into metal on metal, so we will put a little thread lock on there. Again, I like to put it on a little plastic bag, you know, so that you don't have the tube and you forget about it and it leaks all over. And we just, for this particular part here, we just kind of want to get it close to where it's got to go. We can adjust it once it's on the car itself. Okay, so that's that. And then we have our, again, metal on metal. This is a 050. And that's going into metal. And these are our sway bar ends. And these sway bar ends, it doesn't show you here in the picture, but I try to get them flush with the end. And again, I try to leave the screws up. It makes it easier to access them if you need to change it. So let's try to get that flush with the end. Good. Tighten that down. Repeat that same process for the other side. And as you can see, they are both flush with the end. They are not sticking out. So then we're going to take our links here, and I like to just push them down onto the table. It makes it a little easier to install them. And then they go to the next step here, E10. Hold this up so you can see it. Makes it easier if you kind of get the arm straight here, and this piece here just kind of drops right into there, like so. Let's adjust that screw there. It's not exactly to the center. Let's get that to where it's got to go. And again, I try to get it as close as possible to even on both sides so that the sway bar does operate properly. Then there are some 3x4 button head screws that hold this front sway bar in. Again, these are very short screws, so be very temperamental with the threads. Okay, so that is the left and the right. And this sway bar should move freely up and down, which it does. And then we just want to connect the sway bar itself to the underside. There is a ball on the arm itself. Manipulate that back to where it should be. There is a ball there, and I like to take a little pair of pliers and just pop it on there. Repeat the process for the other side. And there we go. The sway bar is installed. So this is calling for our installation of our front shocks, which we have here that we built in one of the earlier steps. So with the front shocks, we have our front shock retainers that go on the top. And then they just slide right down in there. The left and the right. And then the screw, or the nut rather, goes on the back side of the screw. And that's going to be your 5.5 wrench to screw those down. And again, you don't have to go crazy tight with them, just tight enough so that they're down there on their snug. They're not going to fall off. They are nylon nuts, so you want to make sure that they do rotate freely on there. And then also here on the bottom, I also like to use black grease on the bottom. It does help the screws with the threads. You know, when you're screwing these in, sometimes they are tight and the tolerances are high, and they do have a tendency to get hot. So I'll move that over to the front here. And we'll thread those right in. Okay, that's bag E. We're halfway home. So from here on out, we'll come back with the next step.